Hello everyone and welcome back to Minecraft on the Vortex server. I've just been AFKing for a not very long time at my witch farm. So let's get down. If you know where to drop, this is completely safe. Doesn't matter how high you are, if you fall in water, even if it's just one block deep, you do not take any fall damage. So that's fine. And now let's see. It's a decent yield. The glowstone blocks I had before, so I only got these few stacks of dust. Not very much really, but it's okay. I'll take about 5 of these to spawn with me. Actually I'm not really going to spawn, so... Most of these chests have now been emptied. There's a fair amount of cobblestone left in this one though. Well, I should be able to transport this home in one go. Yes, perfect. And now these chests only have some ender pearls in them, which I am not particularly fond of, so I guess what I could do really is get rid of them. Good. The ender pearls were from when we had to go make new tools or repair old tools while we were digging out the perimeter. I will leave some of the chests here. One of them is actually a trap chest. Because you never know, sometimes you just need a chest, and obviously stuff isn't supposed to go in here. By the way, I had one pack of skeletons spawn in the time I got all this glowstone, all this sugar, and all this redstone. So I would be guessing that the chances of skeletons and the like spawning are fairly low. So 2 chests, 2 double chests, that should be enough. I will also take 2 stacks of redstone blocks with me. It's slightly laggy. Whenever I hop into the Nether, it takes me a little while to be able to interact with chests and such. But yeah, as you can see, this tunnel is now entirely done as well. So I added all the glowstone, the stairs, and I also added, as you can just about see, well, this is a glitch. I added the row of half slabs, which disables mobs from spawning in here. And if by some random chance a zombie pigman would get on the track, for example by walking on it from the rooms I built, it could not actually get on the track itself, so it would have to walk by on the sides here. So it can't be in the way of my cart, and it can bounce me back to where I came from, basically. Which is tedious because I still can't break the minecart I'm sitting in. Yeah, this kind of positioning bug tends to happen. Basically, there we are. It's a client-side thing where on the server the location is correct, but on my personal computer it looks like I'm actually in a slightly different spot. So, as you just saw, I was actually riding on the rail, but it looked like I was on the line next to it. And my stone smelting is going well, so I said I didn't want to go to spawn, and that is quite correct. I kind of want to show you something a little different today, for which I need stone. My My dirt silo is almost full, by the way. I've got more double chests in the Nether still from the digging operation, but I cannot fit much more in here, so I'm keeping the rest in the Nether for now. The stone silo's fairly full, but not quite there yet. I will eventually need more items anyway, so I'll just start off with this. Basically, the next thing I'm gonna do is my wither farm. I would at least like to get the redstone done at some point. Again, the primary work there is going to be a perimeter, which I'm not particularly fond of. And here we are. Blaze farm, wither farm. Basically my fortress. Which I've now loaded up extensively, so that should prevent the glitch from making it broken in 1.7. I'll meet you there. Almost there now, and this tunnel is also finished. So spawn proof and safe to ride now. And you don't have to worry about pigmen spawning on the way and sending you back home. However, I haven't built a room or anything yet, so still takes some suffocation damage when exiting the cart, and the end of the trail is still a little rough, so yep, that still needs work. I'm not even certain if I've ever shown you the blaze farm on this server, so I'll just quickly do that just in case. This was one of the first builds I actually did on this server. Basically in the early days, well before we had the ender and such, we needed somewhere to get experience, and that was here. This is a blaze spawner up there, and yeah, it's just a standard blaze farm. The design I use is the one by Ethos, so if you want a tutorial on this, just search for it. Etho has done one. It's an exact copy, so nothing fancy. I do not like you. So this is my fortress. It's by no means fully processed, because obviously to get the wither farm to work properly I have to disable spawning, which is quite a hassle, I can tell you. And here we basically have the outside of the blaze farm. Cobble was all we really had at the time, so I didn't have like that much stone or anything similar, so I had to go with cobble. And this bit of the tunnel is spawn proof because it's half slab. Pigmen cannot be prevented from spawning by light, so you have to half slab things. But really this is like the only part I've done. And this is the, I guess, future farm. And the design I'm using for this is by Zizuma Void, I believe that's how he pronounces his name. So basically the line of stone brick where you now see the pigmen on, that line wither skeletons can spawn on. And if you can just make it out, I'm not certain how it will look after being rendered, so up above it there's another line of nether brick, and that's like the highest height that wither skellies can still spawn. And we obviously also get magma cubes. But yeah, basically there used to be fortress here, and the four-way intersections in fortresses are basically a good spot for building these wither farms, and I had two intersections right next to each other, so I can build a larger version of it. Again, for details, Zizuma Void has done a tutorial on it, which is extensive. I'm just trying to figure out if I actually left any stone brick here or if I took it with me to spawn. No, apparently I took it. So what I will do is just very quickly pause recording and place a few more of these bricks in the appropriate places, and then I will see you again. Okay, I went back and checked the tutorial to find out where I need to place stuff. And I'm just kind of going to show you exemplary how I'm going to do it. I don't even have all the resources I need for this assembled yet, so do not expect me to finish this build this episode. It's not that small of a project. So basically, these rows will also extend all the way down. And these are the spawning places basically. And right in the center, which should be one... Oh, it's terrible counting nether brick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's exactly correct. So right here there's going to be another row, or rather 2 more rows of spawning places like this. Of course, eventually I do not want this lit up. I will not hook up any sort of disabling mechanism for this farm, so it's going to be always on when there's someone around. And these will extend basically all the way down. And now I need to figure out how much higher I want to go, so I'll be right back. I need to go... Wait, I don't want this nether brick here, it's in the way. And I'll actually go and fetch my blocks from down there, because I think I dropped some. I did at least drop a torch and some nether brick. So there we are. So yeah, basically this is kind of like a tileable design, I guess that's the phrase people use, which basically means you build one layer and the next layer is an exact copy, so first layer and then you just kind of expand it downwards. So anything that's not stone brick will basically be removed. All the nether brick will be gone. Now I need 3 spawning places basically, and then 3 blocks, and then again 1, 2, 3 blocks, and then here we place the last platform, if you will. Now I need to get down, which is possible thanks to this genius contraption. And basically, I can totally hear like a blaze and pigmen and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, basically, just to give you an idea of the whole thing, these are the heights that the other spawning platforms will be on. And then this will be connected, like there will be pressure plates on these, and they'll be connected to fairly simple mechanisms. So basically, stepping on this pressure plate will cause a piston to push whatever spawns, out here into the open space basically, and there will be vines here to reset the fall height. Which I need for the wither skellies. I don't need that for the pigmen. I'm not even certain if vines work on pigmen. I don't think they actually do, but basically I want the wither skellies to drop a certain amount of blocks so they are at 1 hit. And zombie pigmen and magma creams and normal skeletons, I don't really care about them. So eventually the farm down there will have a setup which kills them periodically. So basically it's kind of it has to do with the way mob suffocation works. If you push a block into the head of a mob, it suffocates. Now the head of a mob is it's not the same for all mobs. So if I push a block into, for example, a ghast or a magma cube, at pretty much any height he's going to start suffocating. So I think a ghast is 4 by 4 by 4 if the area you keep him in is decreased. So if you push a block into him at any point, he will probably start suffocating. Now again, this is my understanding of it, and I'm not much of an expert on these matters. That noise is normal, by the way, and I should really leave the stone and stone brick here. So magma creams are similar. I believe if you push a block into them at any point... Whoa. Do not care to fight that thing, because I've got no shortage of blaze rods. I do occasionally, but then I just farm some at the farm. There we go, that was decent. And you can all go in here. I kept some of the stone as stone because, as I said, I'm going to need pressure plates anyway, so... And this is not enough for the whole farm. But yeah, so this farm here, it's going to spawn... It's not going to spawn ghasts. It's kind of unfortunate, because ghast tiers are nice to have, but it's not going to spawn them. Oh look, a wither skelly. Let's see if he's going to be friendly. And he's not. Oh well. But yeah, it's going to spawn pretty much anything else that can spawn in the Nether, so I'm going to get wither skellies, normal skellies, zombie pigmen, and magma cubes. The magma cubes, apart from the small ones, they won't be able to drop through the one wide gap, so they will basically suffocate up there, because they will constantly trigger the pusher pistons, which are supposed to push them down, but they can't be pushed down because the gap isn't wide enough, so they constantly have blocks pushing into them because they constantly trigger the plates. They suffocate. And the small ones will basically be able to hop out on the sides and then die that way. I'm not certain if they take fall damage or if I need to do something about that, but anyway, the small ones will be dealt with swiftly. Zombie pigmen and skeletons and blazes as well, they will basically fall down the trap. Blazes, as long as they're not aggro to a player, they will slowly sink down, so they won't take fall damage, but they will also end up down on the strips which will be built there. And with our skellies, of course, as well. And then there will be a timer hooked up, which may be once every, I don't know, 5 minutes. It's going to push a block at block height 2 into the mobs, which are assembling down in the farm. And this will ensure that the skeletons, which have taken fall damage, will be killed fairly quickly. It will ensure that the zombie pigmen, which have also taken fall damage, will die fairly quickly. And it will also deal with the blazes, which of course have not taken fall damage, so they will basically take 2 rounds to kill, but in the end, if you stay there for longer, it's not going to make much of a difference. Wither skellies, however, are different because they're like 2 and a bit blocks high, so they're not 2 block high mobs, which is why they can't go through a 2 block high gap. And it also means that if you push a block into them at basically this level, they're not going to take suffocation damage. So in the end, that timer will ensure that wither skeletons do not get killed automatically, but anything else eventually dies from the suffocation. And so if I stay there, if I AFK there for a longer time, I'm going to get the drops from the skeletons and the pigmen and such, and the blazes, so blaze rod, gold, bone, all that stuff. But the wither skellies I can actually kill by hand with a looting sword, which is obviously the point. And now I will fill up my inventory with stone once more, which is going to basically drain my my silo fairly quick, but I need to get back to spawn. And I think in the last video, which was a bit of a talking episode, I believe I made some, well, basically I got talking and sometimes I forget when I start a sentence I forget how I started, and I get lost in the process, and then I forget to finish sentences, so I think the one thing I remember was when I spoke about games being rated on terms of graphics and such, which shows a limitation of like the rating systems. I'm a bit of a cynic, so the way I see it, game developers are getting lazy and bad and terrible. But the gaming magazines and the review sites and such, they have to give good reviews to games. Again, this is my view, so you might differ on that, and that's fine. But the way I see it, they have to give good reviews because otherwise they will not be invited to review newer games again. I think that's kind of the way it goes, that if the magazine says, for example, the new game, let's just take an example, let's say they write a review saying Oblivion is junk, that game is terrible, and then chances are they're not going to get a preview version of Skyrim, and that's going to cost them readers because people want to know about Skyrim before it comes out. That's kind of the idea, I believe, is behind it. So they feel they have to give good marks to games, despite the games being fairly terrible, or rather, their opinion doesn't really reflect what the gamers think about it, which, if you look at the Metacritic page for Diablo 3, that was very striking, when the average review gave 88 out of 100 points, which is not that good, but still fairly high up there. And the average user review was below 5 points, well below that. So say what you liked about being biased and such, but at least it clearly shows that the player's opinion was not well reflected by what the magazines and reviews said about the game. So yeah. And of course it's nighttime, and people have not lit their plots very well. DH3 burned down a little bit. I think it was struck by lightning, so yeah. He's still trying to build his random sewers, which are terrible. And I don't think Jail has really continued much here. I think he's done some work, but not much. And apparently someone placed some stuff here. No biggie though. And yeah, so basically in my opinion it feels like video game review sites are a bit biased because they don't think they can afford giving bad reviews. And this looks interesting. This, to remember, is Sagittarius. And he has put up a bit of a jungle. And I can hear a spider. Nice staircase design. But it's not actually going anywhere. Okay. So not really anything I can show you here. Yeah, basically my new plot is, or rather the new plot is still there and fine, so I can use it as a tree farm. But I'll actually go up my building to kind of work out if and how I want to continue building this higher. So top level for the moment. I'm not certain if I want to add too much more to it actually. So if I build a staircase, it's going to probably be either in a corner, which means I'd have to shorten the windows a little bit, which I can do. Or else it'll have to be straight in the center, roughly at least in the center. And I have no idea where exactly the center is, but it's probably too close to this staircase here, so it's probably going to be a corner thing. But actually I just remembered I can't really continue this because I haven't heard back yet what kind of ceiling you want to see, like what roof. So I'm guessing I'll have to store away my stuff and then figure out what I want to do. I'm not certain how long I've recorded actually. Again, sometimes I get talking and can get a little boring, I would say. But yeah, still haven't really finished my point. What I was trying to say is, in their effort to having to give games a good grade, these sites often have to like make up a scoring system, which enables them to give pretty much any game a good mark. So they would start by rating, I don't know, storyline, graphics, gameplay, character design and such. And pretty much by all these points, apart from gameplay, Minecraft would really get bad marks. Like the graphics in Minecraft, unless you use texture packs, which you obviously could not include in a review really, the graphics are terrible. Like, not really terrible, the game actually does look cool, but it's like really low quality, low resolution, so in terms of photorealism, which for some reason people tend to like, okay, this won't work because I've got blocks in me, but yeah, just look at how my cool warrior in full diamond gear looks. Not quite that striking. Compare that to, for example, say, even a World of Warcraft character in full armor with shining particle effects everywhere. Yet somehow this game is better. At least in my mind, it's a completely different genre, so comparison is obviously not really much of a good idea. But this game at least is not worse than World of Warcraft. It's completely different, but beside the point, the music in this game, while it's fairly good, it doesn't play that much, and it just at some points there's music, but not really much of it, so you couldn't give many marks for music here. Character development and story are non-existent, so again that would have to be 0 points. The only thing you can say is gameplay, which would have to get a solid 10 of course, but that would probably put this game at like 2 out of 10 if you weigh all the options equally. And yet the gaming magazine or website which gives Minecraft a 2 out of 10 is probably out of its mind. Just because the success of this game tells us clearly this game is not a 2 out of 10. At least for me personally, it's obviously a 10 out of 10, and many people would agree. But then by that same system you could take a game which has... Let's just take Final Fantasy 13, because I've been very disappointed by that game. The character design is awesome, like the characters look really cool, the story of the game is actually great. You've got good music in the game, and the graphics are cool. The gameplay is terrible though, so you would have 4 factors which you would have to give high marks for, and 1 low mark, which on average would give a fairly high mark. Which means you could take a game like Final Fantasy 13 and say, wow, this is a great game. And it's really not. And similarly, if you take a game like Final Fantasy, let's just take 7 as an example, because everyone would pick that. Well, let's take 6, just one of the old classic ones. Let's take 10 even. On graphics, it would have to score lower than FF13, simply because graphics could not be as good back then. All the other points it would be equal, and it would score a lot higher than FF13 on the gameplay section, simply because there's actual gameplay and you're not just playing a movie. Which would similarly put a game like FF7 or FF10 at the same marking point or the same level as FF13, which pretty much anyone who's a fan of the franchise will agree is not the case. It just isn't. FF13 is... the first 9 out of the 10 acts of the game are completely linear and you've got no choices whatsoever. Your character development is pretty much non-existent. And then in the 10th level you get some optional things you can explore, but you get no mini-games, you get no world map, no airship. All you get is like long tube-shaped levels where you can walk from one end to the other. And if there's any kind of like side way where you can go, you just know there's going to be a hidden item in there and that's it. And usually an enemy guarding it. So in terms of gameplay, it's a terrible game. So yeah, again I was ranting a little bit. I'm probably at my 20 minutes, so I'll see you in a bit. Yeah, I overshot the mark again. I'm sorry about that. I know these episodes have not been very interesting lately. I'll try to do something more fun next time. I'm sorry. It just sometimes these things upset me a little bit. Anyway, I'll be seeing you soon. Bye bye.